What a beautiful way to start off a brand new month. Welcome back to another trade recap. Today is February the 2nd. It is a brand new month here in the markets. I ended up taking two trades today, one on MU and one on Apple towards the upside. Overall markets, super solid bounce coming into today. Let's go over all the trades and exactly what I took coming into today. So first, let's go on to the charts. Before I do that, let me pull up my Trade Zealous statistics. Up about $8,000 to start off the month of February. Took only two trades. Yeah, that's about it. Fresh way to start off the month. So super excited to see what this month has in store. I do expect a lot of volatility, of course, with earnings still, and of course, a bunch of red folder news. Let me pull up my pre-market game plan for today here as well. So as you can see, the game plan for February the 2nd coming into today, QQQ is underneath the previous day low, SPY's in the middle of the range. What I like to see is a reaction that we have off the QQQ 619 and SPY 690. Fairly neutral coming into today after the big move that we had in the overnight session. And then I had a couple main watches to keep an eye out on. And then of course, as I mentioned here, the rest of the names are either ranging or have earnings. MU, SNDK pullback Friday. Let's see if the dip will be bought up on these names moving forward. So coming into market open, let's kind of go over the overall thesis and what I was looking for. So first things first, as you can see here on the QQQ, the key levels I said that I had marked out was your previous day lows. So our previous day lows here was key, which was that 618. If we can reclaim back above, we can see this reversal back towards the upside. Rejection, we can see this push back lower. You can see within the first 15 minutes of market open, really solid push towards the upside, indicating that we're back inside the range and there's a good chance we continue higher. If we look at the SPY chart, you can see in between the middle of the range open, first 15 minutes, big push higher. We're looking for the SPY previous day highs for a push back towards the upside. So with this thesis in mind, what was I looking for coming into market open? Really for upside, I had a couple of the semiconductors, right? SNDK, and I also had MU, right? SNDK is still bullish here on the higher time frames. Nice bounce here off our Thursday's highs of last week. Now what I like to see is potential kind of continuation back up and towards our all-time highs. MU was also in play here as well, which was off our right? Essentially that 420. You can see touch here, touch here, touch here on Friday. If we can break above, retest, we can see this continuation higher. So coming into market open, I was looking for MU. I didn't have the greatest entry on this first MU retest. So basically what I was looking for, as you can see, really strong buyers right off the bat. We have this nice push towards the upside. Buyers are stepping in very nicely, got in as this candle was forming. Didn't have the greatest entry on this MU trade. And then my stop was all the way technically down and towards that 418. So the first trade set up here on MU didn't have the greatest entry, which was the really as this candle was forming this 426. And my stop was pretty wide, so I didn't really want to give it too much room. So really as soon as this candle broke underneath, right, I just ended up cutting my position. I mentioned I can always look for a potential re-entry later, but basically entered in here, immediate stop out. As it came back down, I didn't really want to manage it on the 5-minute time frame, as I mentioned, just because I didn't want to give it too much room. This one ultimately ended up holding this level very nicely and had that nice continuation. But that's sometimes, if you're going to trade, right, a reversal, right, it might not move in the way you want it to, and you might have to hold based off the 5-minute time frame. So you either have wider risk, or you're just going to look for a potential re-entry. But that was the first trade. I ended up losing about $3,000-$4,000 on that MU trade. And then the second trade that I took was on this Apple reclaim, which was super nice here as well. These are my executions, of course. Took the 265 calls for this nice continued pushback towards the upside. So what was the trade thesis here on Apple? Let's remove all these drawings here as well. So coming into Apple, as you can see, if it will load, we're just waiting. I don't know why TradingView does this sometimes. Okay, so as you can see right here, I guess it's still not loading. Great. But for Apple, the key levels that we had coming into today, let's go back on this. Let's go into the hourly chart. So Apple, as you can see, has been consolidating. We've been consolidating in the inside of this range. We recently had earnings, and you can see we have multiple touches. So the key for me is really the break above this 262. If we can break above this 262, we can see this potential move up in towards, now it's going to be this 268. So Apple was one of my main watches. As soon as it showed a lot of strength right off the bat, you can see within the first 5 minutes, solid push towards the upside. And now we're above our previous day highs, which in this case is at 262. So within the first 5 minutes of market open, relative strength above our previous day highs. Now I'm looking for the retest, continuation towards the upside. Let's play out the tape. Price breaks above. And now you can see it's coming back to retest, but ultimately no buyers are stepping in, so there's no retest. Now all we're doing is looking for the reclaim. As I mentioned, if the retest doesn't set up, no buyers step in, then we're just going to be looking for the reclaim back above a little bit later into the session. So as you can see right here on Apple, price is now closing back above our previous day highs, right? Closing back above this 262. This candle right here, immediate retest. This is where I go look long. Stops just a break above. And now I'm looking at target where, let's go back into the 15-minute chart. I'm looking back and targeting the earnings high. We have a couple key levels, 266. And we also had our key strike price, which was our 265, which was the calls that we end up taking. So for Apple, once we had that reclaim, we had that nice kind of push towards high day. A couple of sellers kind of stepping in. I honestly would have liked to see a better move here on Apple, right? You can see during this time, the Qs end up having that perfect retest exactly off that 323.50 that we wanted up and towards our previous day highs. Apple was really being a little bit stubborn. I would have liked to see a lot bigger move here, but unfortunately Apple didn't have as much relative strength. Nice kind of push up and towards this 265 ultimately for a nice kind of 30-40% move on the contracts, but would have liked to see a little bit more here with the QQQ pushing higher. Would have been nice to see if we could have hit that kind of earnings kind of key level, and then of course your earnings high here as well, but ultimately kind of pulled back here as the Qs ended up hitting our previous day highs, of course. So Apple ended up being a nice winner on the day. But ultimately, we should have seen a little bit more continuation. That would have been nice. But ultimately, Apple ended up pushing back towards the downside, ended up getting stopped out the rest of my contracts. But really today, nice kind of winner today, up $7,000. Not really too much to talk about. Really solid way to start off the month. But besides that, yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that recap. Of course, I'm going to be posting every trade, win or lose. And with that being said, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.